of all the technologies that are out there, I think AI is the one that is having a very far reaching impact on our personal and societal lives at this point in time. I'm sure other technologies will come along, but at the moment, in the near future that I can see, AI is super important. Now, why is AI so important that we should take an individual participation and attention, give it attention to this technology at this point in time, regardless of whether you're a developer or a non developer? So, two things come to mind. One is the pace of innovation. Um, Technology is coming at us like from a fire hose, whichever technology is it, but with AI, which probably has its origins like half a century ago, but in the last decade or so, the pace has just gotten up, along with the compute power that's available, the advancements in algorithms, and so on and so forth. So the pace of innovation is just too fast for us to keep up, in a sense. And if you look at the other piece, which is it's getting as close to human parity as possible. So Microsoft, across these research organizations that we have across the world, in fact, has done some amazing cutting edge work, leading edge, bleeding edge, if you will, work on AI, bringing a voice, text, language, and vision to as close to human parity as possible. So we have some of the first in the space, and the most recent one being the object detection human parity. And what that does for us, I mean, how does that impact us at a personal level? Is that, or even at a societal level, is that now if you get a call back from an organization and you hear the voice, it could be a human voice or it could be a machine voice, but you wouldn't be able to make the difference. And so that takes the whole impact to a different level, and also responsibility on the side of the developer or the developing firm to disclose that it is a human or it is a machine. So there are a lot of law regulations are trying to keep up. We haven't gotten there. If you look at countries across the board, and I talking to you from Malaysia, here there is a country AI blueprint that is being formed as we speak. But if you look at the set of people creating that blueprint, you will see that there is not enough diversity of thoughts and voice coming to that table. And hence, this becomes important that each one of us participate in this journey. So some of the debate that is out there, and that's the source of responsible AI, right? Initially, everybody was super excited about the technology itself, but slowly people started to understand that there are aspects to this that we must give critical attention to. Much like, imagine the early days when there were horse-drawn carriages and then automobiles came to play, and suddenly you needed to have roads and then traffic rules and pedestrian crossings and things like that. So AI is at that stage where we collectively need to create those checks and balances and also help people to apply those checks and balances. So if you look at the debate that's gone on now, right from deep fakes on Obama's spoof to the Chinese glass walls, which are actually able to see, to able to kind of show all characteristics of that person, right from all the data that's available about the person on social versus on the records. That became a huge point of debate as well as to whether it's a human rights violation at some level. If you look at the Compass solution in the US, actually they were looking at using AI algorithm to figure out, to give an index of which person is a potential troublemaker and should be classified as such. And that was looking at one particular element. There was a weightage of W, which was about who are the people in that person's next level of influence or the second level of influence. And if somebody in those one or two or three circles were actually a troublemaker, this person also was being classified as a troublemaker. And when they actually did that, deployed that solution, actually they found that the maximum people who were coming up on that list were, guess who? Black males. And that's because of the historical evidence or historical data that they were pulling from. So you can just see the impact on innocent humans when these AI solutions are um, are let free without those checks and balances. Another interesting one is recently I was sitting in a panel discussion with a senior woman leader, and it was a diversity conversation. And she was saying that, hey, I'm a senior leader in technology, but when I asked my little girl who's 8, why don't you try something on coding? She went and did her homework online and came back and said, oh, it's a boys game. And she dug deeper into it and she says, well, on the internet, all I see is boys, talking about the apps they make. Everything is about boys. I don't see enough girls. It's interesting. And similarly, if you type in CEO into the internet, it will show up male CEOs and largely white male CEOs. What is that? How does that impact us, our next generations, and even thinking that some roles are even possible? So, and it goes beyond that. So it's not just about algorithms. Now, the shape and form of bias takes many different things. Now, if you look at historical biases in the field of medicine, actually, it's a known thing, and a lot of research has been done on this, that women and pain, women reporting pain to a doctor versus men reporting pain to a doctor, who do you think gets pain medication faster? And faster 10x. Um, Obviously, men, the pain that men report is kind of taken up as authentic much faster than that. So that's all research based and it's there. Similarly, Black people being affected by racial bias in healthcare algorithms. This has also been a published case study, and those algorithms have then, this is from the US, and then those algorithms have been reworked. So one would think, at least know that those kind of gender biases are there. But it's interesting to also note that these expanded data sets even are not enough when you talk about bringing diversity and tackling bias. Even things like, where is that data coming from which device? For example, Fitbit and those kind of wearables are much in use in wellness and even in healthcare. But it's interesting to note that the accuracy of tracking the heart rates are different from white people to colored people. I wouldn't have thought about it. So that's interesting. So ultimately, the AI industry is still nascent and it totally runs on trust. If the solutions we create are not trusted by the people who are going to use it, and those users might be consumers who are looking for the next job, the next vaccine, or maybe even insurance or healthcare, or even within organizations, whoever it is. But if they don't trust the solutions, then this industry will find it hard to move over the hype to reality and just have AI as an underlying element across all solutions, not seen like electricity. And that's the future that we should get to. And for that, there is some responsible AI to be done. Now, I will stop here. There are other talks that are going to talk deeply about responsible AI. So I hope it gave you a little peek into why we should focus sharply on responsible AI collectively for our industry. Thank you.